Humans don't save you with weapons. They save you with attention, and it's unstoppable. I've been around humans for exactly 3 standard cycles now, and I still do not understand them. Not even close. And trust me, I have tried. My name is Kilara, and I am what you would call a scholarship student at the Galactic Youth Academy here on Station Meridian. Fancy title for someone who spends most of her time pretending she belongs here, right? The station floats somewhere between the Terran colonies and the inner systems, a massive spinning wheel of metal and glass that houses about 15,000 beings from 60 different species. The Academy takes up the eastern wing, all sleek corridors and observation windows that show you the stars whether you want to see them or not. Very inspirational, very expensive, very much not designed for someone like me. My species, the Vralians, we are not exactly known for our wealth. We have got 4 arms, which sounds great until you realize it just means we can work 4 times as hard for the same pay. Our skin shifts colors with our emotions, which makes lying absolutely opposably, and our frames are tall and willowy, built for the low gravity of Vralia Prime. Here on the station with its Earth standard gravity generators, I feel like I am carrying extra weight every single day, but I am getting ahead of myself. Let me tell you about the human. Zorik showed up at the academy about 2 months after I did. He is the maintenance supervisor, which means he fixes things, monitors environmental systems, and generally keeps the station from falling apart or venting us all into space. Cheerful job. He is older for a human, maybe 50 standard years, with gray threading through his black hair and these lines around his eyes that deepen when he smiles, which he does, often, at everything. It is disturbing. Humans are shorter than Vralians, stockier, built like they expect the universe to punch them, and want to punch back. Zorik has got these broad shoulders and scarred hands, the kind that have seen real work, real fighting. Word around the station is he served in the Terran Defense Forces during the Resource Wars. Nobody talks about those wars much. There is a reason for that. Every day the routine is the same. Classes from 0800 to 100 hours. Then lunch period in the communal dining hall, where students from a dozen different species try to eat their food without offending anyone else's digestive sensibilities. Then more classes until then study time, sleep. Repeat. A thrilling existence. The dining hall is where things get complicated for me. See, the academy provides meals as part of the tuition package. Fantastic. Except my scholarship, the one my family sacrificed everything to help me accept, does not quite cover the full meal plan. It covers educational materials, housing, and basic rations. The full meal plan costs an extra 200 credits per cycle. 200 credits that might as well be 2 million. So here is what I do. I bring my lunchbox every day, a simple gray container that my mother packed for me when I left Vralna Prime. I sit at my usual spot, near the observation window overlooking the docking bay. I open the container, and I stare at the nothing inside it while everyone around me eats. Pride is a funny thing. It keeps your back straight when you want to collapse. It keeps your skin tone neutral when every cell in your body wants to flash the blue of desperation. It keeps you sitting there pretending that you are just not hungry today, that you ate a big breakfast, that you are fine. Everything is fine. I have been doing this for 6 weeks now. 6 weeks of rationing my basic provisions to stretch further than they should. 6 weeks of watching other students complain about the food while I dream about it. 6 weeks of hoping nobody notices. Zorik noticed on day 43. I know because that is when everything changed. That is when I learned that humans, for all their confusing smiles and strange emotional displays, see things that most species miss. And sometimes, what they see breaks something inside them that you did not even know was breakable. The thing about maintenance workers is that they are invisible until something breaks. Zorik moved through the dining hall like a ghost, checking air recyclers, testing temperature controls, scanning for the million little failures that could kill us all if left unchecked. Most students did not even look up when he passed. I certainly never paid attention, until he stopped. Right behind me, on day 43, I was doing my usual performance, staring into my empty lunchbox like it contained the secrets of the universe instead of absolutely nothing. My skin wanted to flash yellow with anxiety, but I held it steady, kept it the calm green of someone just enjoying a peaceful moment. Nothing to see here, just a student taking a break. That is a very clean lunchbox, Zorik said. I jumped. Actually jumped. My container clattered against the table, and I spun around to find him standing there, with a toolkit in one hand and this expression that I could not quite read. Humans have 64 distinct facial muscles. They use all of them. It is exhausting. Excuse me. I managed to keep my voice level, professional. Can I help you with something? No. He shook his head, and those eye lines deepened a bit. Not quite a smile. Something else. I was just noticing. That lunchbox is spotless. Completely empty. You must have really enjoyed your meal. My skin rippled. Just once. A flicker of orange embarrassment before I clamped down on it. Yes. It was fine. Very good. Now if you will excuse me, I have to study. I started to close the container, but he did not move. Just stood there, shifting his weight from one foot to the other. The dining hall buzzed around us. A group of Kelthian students laughed at something on their data tablets. The food dispensers hummed. Normal sounds. Normal day. You know, Zorik said quietly. I have been watching the lunch crowd for 2 months now. Part of my job, monitoring traffic patterns, making sure environmental systems handle peak usage. You sit here every day, same spot, same time, same empty container. It is not empty. The lie came out too fast, too defensive. I already ate, before you got here. Right. He nodded slowly. You eat very quickly then. I started my rounds 15 minutes ago. Came straight here. You were sitting in that exact position when I walked in. My secondary arms, the smaller ones I usually kept folded against my sides, twitched. I forced them still. Is there a regulation against sitting in the dining hall without eating? Should I leave? I can leave. Kalar. He knew my name. Of course he knew my name. Station personnel had access to all student records. I am not here to cause problems. I am just concerned. Concerned. I let the word hang there, heavy with sarcasm. How very kind. The maintenance worker is concerned about the scholarship student. What a touching scene. Should I be grateful? Should I cry? That came out harsher than I meant it. My skin flashed red, anger mixed with shame before I wrestled it back to green. Zorik did not flinch, did not back away. He just stood there with this patient, steady look that made me want to punch him. I was a soldier, he said. Still quiet, still calm. You learn things in the military. How to spot when someone is hurting, when someone is hungry, when someone is too proud to ask for help. I do not need help. I stood up, gathering my empty container with all 4 arms, clutching it like a shield. I am fine. Everything is fine. Thank you for your concern, Mr. Chen, but I have classes to attend. I walked away. Fast. My long legs carried me across the dining hall in seconds, and I did not look back. But I felt him watching, felt those human eyes following me, seeing things I did not want anyone to see, and the worst part, the absolutely worst part, was that my skin had flashed blue as I left. Just for a sec, the blue of desperation. The blue of someone drowning. He had seen it. I knew he had seen it, and somehow I knew this was not over. That night I laid in my quarters, all 4 arms spread across the narrow bunk, and stared at the ceiling panels. Sleep did not come. It rarely did anymore. Instead I thought about home. About how I ended up here on this station, sitting in a dining hall with an empty lunchbox, while a human veteran asked questions I could not answer. Velna Prime is not a bad planet. Let me be clear about that. It is beautiful, actually, all purple skies and crystal forests that sing when the wind blows through them. The problem is that beautiful does not pay bills. Beautiful does not feed families, and after the mining corporations stripped the southern continent for rare metals, beautiful definitely does not provide jobs. My father worked the docks in Sector 7, loading cargo for ships that belonged to other species, wealthier species. 12-hour shifts. Sometimes 14. His back bent a little more each year, his secondary arms developing tremors from repetitive stress. My mother cleaned administrative offices for a Kelthian trade consortium. Night shifts, because those paid 5% more. 5%. She took it. I have 2 younger siblings. Tenna is 8 standard years old. Rico is 5. They need food, clothes, education access, medical care, basic things, things that cost credits we did not have. When the scholarship notice arrived, my mother cried. Actually, cried. Relians do not cry often. Our biology does not work that way. But her skin flashed every color and sequence, joy and relief and hope all mixing together, and her eyes got this shine that I had never seen before. The Galactic Youth Academy, she had whispered, holding the data tablet like it was made of glass. Kalara. Do you understand what this means? Full educational scholarship. Room and board. You could have a future. A real future. The scholarship covered tuition, covered housing, covered basic necessities and educational materials. It looked like salvation packaged in official forms and digital signatures. What it did not mention, not clearly, not in the promotional materials that made everything look so shining and perfect, were the extras. The meal plan upgrade. The lab fees. The social expenses that everyone just assumed you could cover. The million little costs that separated the scholarship students from everyone else. I could have said no. Could have explained that it was not enough. But I saw my mother's face. Saw my father's shoulders straighten for the first time in months. Saw Tenna and Rico looking at me like I was already something special, something successful. So I said yes. I packed my things. I hugged my family goodbye at the transport station, and I promised I would make them proud. The first month was fine. Manageable. I ate the basic rations, told myself they were enough. They were not enough. Not for a growing Vrellingen. Not with the Earth's standard gravity pulling at my frame every day. But I managed. I smiled in my messages home. Told them classes were wonderful. Told them I was thriving. The second month, I started skipping meals. Just one here and there. Saved those credits. Sent them home. My mother mentioned that Tenna needed new learning tablets. The old ones were breaking down. 200 credits. I sent 250. Did not eat for 3 days. The third month, I realized I could ration my basic provisions differently. 1 meal a day. Sometimes less. The medical center offered nutritional supplements for students with special dietary needs. I claimed a sensitivity to station food. Lied smoothly. Got the supplements. They helped. Not enough. Never enough. But here is the thing. Here is the part that kept me going. That kept me sitting in that dining hall with my empty lunchbox and my neutral skin tone. Back home, things were getting better. My father mentioned maybe cutting back to 10-hour shifts. My mother talked about day positions opening up. Tenna made top marks in her class. Rico needed dental work, but we could afford it now thanks to the extra credits I sent. Every week I recorded a message. Told them I was eating well. Told them the station food was amazing, so much variety, such generous portions. Told them not to worry. My skin stayed green the entire time. Calm. Steady. Lying. Pride is what kept me from messaging them the truth. Pride and love and the terrible knowledge that if I failed, if I admitted I could not handle this, then everything they sacrificed would be for nothing. My father's broken back, my mother's night shifts, the years of struggling and scraping by, all of it would mean nothing if I came home with my head down and my dreams shattered. So I stayed. I sat in that dining hall. I pretended. And I sent every spare credit back to Vrelna Prime. Back to my family, back to the people who believed I could be something more than what our planet offered. The scholarship was supposed to save me. Instead, it was slowly killing me. And the worst part, the part that made my skin want to flash every color at once, was that I would do it all over again. Every time, without hesitation. Because that is what you do for family. Even when it hurts. Even when you are so hungry that your vision blurs during afternoon classes. Even when a human maintenance worker looks at you with knowing eyes and sees right through your carefully constructed lie. You keep going, you keep pretending. You keep your lunchbox clean and empty and perfect, until someone refuses to look away. Zorik found me 2 days later in the observation deck during off hours. I was running calculations for my astrophysics class, trying to focus on orbital mechanics instead of the gnawing emptiness in my stomach. The deck was empty at this hour, just me and the stars and the quiet hum of life support systems. You are persistent, I said without looking up. I had heard his footsteps, the particular rhythm of human walking. Heavy, purposeful. Is stalking students part of your maintenance duties now? Actually, yes. He sat down across from me uninvited. I maintain student welfare systems. You are a student. Your welfare seems compromised. Therefore, maintenance issue. I finally looked at him. That is the worst logic I have ever heard. Probably. He shrugged, and his mouth did that thing where the corners lifted slightly. Humans called it a smile, but this one looked sad somehow. Can I tell you a story, Kalara? And then, if you want me to leave you alone after that, I will. Deal. Do I have a choice? Always. I saved my calculations and leaned back, crossing all 4 arms. My skin shifted to a cautious yellow-green. Fine. Tell your story. He was quiet for a moment, staring out at the stars. When he spoke, his voice had changed. Lower, harder, like he was pulling words from somewhere deep and painful. The resource wars started when I was 19. Earth was dying, resources depleted, and the colonies were not sharing. Typical human problem, right? We are very good at fighting each other. He laughed, but there was no humor in it. I enlisted because it seemed noble. Defending humanity, protecting our future. All that propaganda nonsense they feed young idiots who think war is glorious. I stayed quiet. Something in his tone made interrupting feel wrong. Third year of the war, my unit got trapped in the Martian wastes. Supply lines cut, communications down. 37 soldiers, 2 weeks of rations, no idea when extraction would come. His hands clenched on the table. You ever been really hungry, Kelleher? Not skipping a meal hungry. Not diet hungry. Actually starving hungry, where your body starts consuming itself and your brain stops working right. My skin flashed blue before I could stop it. He noticed. Of course he noticed. We rationed everything. Made it stretch 3 weeks. Then 4. Then 5. His voice got quieter. People started looking at each other differently. Started having conversations about what we would do when the food ran out completely. Started eyeing the weakest among us with expressions that made me want to vomit. What happened? I whispered. Extraction came on day 39. We all survived. Barely. He met my eyes and I saw something there that made my breath catch. Pain. Old pain that had never quite healed. But here is what I learned. Pride almost killed us. We had a communications officer kid named Torres. He knew Morse code, could have rigged a distress signal with our emergency battery pack. Did not say anything for 3 weeks because he was embarrassed. Thought he should have figured it out sooner. Thought admitting he had an idea made him look stupid. That is ridiculous. I said. He could have saved everyone. Exactly. Zorik leaned forward. Pride is survival instinct gone wrong. It protects you from shame, but it will absolutely let you die rather than admit you need help. And I see it in you. That same look Torres had. That same stubborn, self-destructive determination. My skin went full red. You do not know anything about me. About my situation. This is completely different. You are right. It is different. He nodded. You are not trapped in a desert with broken supply lines. You are trapped in a system that failed you. A scholarship that promised everything and delivered half measures. But the hunger is the same, Kelleher. The pride is the same, and the ending will be the same if you do not let someone help. I cannot. The words burst out of me, raw and honest. My family. They sacrificed everything. If I admit I am failing, if I tell them the scholarship is not enough, then what was the point? All those years of my father destroying his body, my mother working nights, all of it for nothing. Not for nothing. His voice was gentle now. For you. They did it for you. And you know what would destroy them. Finding out their daughter starved herself to death because she was too proud to ask for help. Because she thought their love was conditional on her being perfect. I wanted to argue. Wanted to tell him he was wrong. But my skin had gone pale blue, and tears were forming in my eyes. The rare valiant tears that only came with complete emotional breakdown. I do not know how to stop. I admitted. That is okay. Zorik stood up, pulled something from his pocket. A credit chip. Because you do not have to do it alone. Not anymore. I stared at the credit chip like it was a live explosive. No. Absolutely not. I am not taking charity from a maintenance worker who probably makes barely more than I do. Good thing it is not charity then. Zorik set the chip on the table between us. Station Regulation 47B. All personnel can earn supplemental credits through voluntary work programs. You help me with maintenance surveys 2 hours a week. You get paid. Standard rate. Completely legitimate. Maintenance surveys. My skin flickered between red and yellow. Anger and suspicion. You are making that up. Actually, I am not. He pulled up his data tablet, showed me an official document with the station administrator's signature. Environmental monitoring requires multilingual data collection. You speak Vrelling and Galactic Common, and I saw in your file you know Kelthian trade dialect. I need someone to help translate system alerts and conduct surveys in student housing sectors. Real job, real pay. I looked at the regulation, read it 3 times. It was legitimate. The loophole was so obvious I felt stupid for not finding it myself. 2 hours a week is not enough to cover meal plan costs. No, but it is a start. He stood up. Shift begins tomorrow, 1900 hours. Meet me at Maintenance Bay 3. Bring your tablet and your attitude. Both are equally useful. He left before I could argue further. The credit chip sat on the table blinking softly. 200 credits. Exactly enough for one cycle's meal plan upgrade. I took it. Hated myself a little for taking it. But I took it. The next evening I showed up at Maintenance Bay 3 expecting some humiliating make-work task. Instead, Zorik handed me a scanner and a checklist of 40 student quarters that needed environmental surveys, air quality readings, temperature variance checks, noise pollution measurements, actual work that actually needed doing. You are serious? I said, staring at the list. I do not joke about station safety. He was already calibrating equipment. You have 4 arms. You can hold scanner, tablet, and backup sensors while taking notes. You are literally more efficient than any human I could hire. Now stop looking surprised and start earning your pay. 2 hours later my arms ached. My legs hurt from the extra gravity and I had collected more data than I expected. Zorik reviewed my work, nodded approval, and transferred the credits without ceremony. Same time next week, he said. Unless you are too busy being proud to show up, I will be here. I muttered. I was. Every week. And something strange started happening. Other students noticed. A Kelthian named Toller stopped me in the corridor after my 3rd shift. Hey, you work with Chen, right? The maintenance guy. I need volunteer hours for my civic participation requirement. Think he needs more help? Zorik hired him. Then he hired a Paxian student named Vreen who needed credits for her younger siblings' medical expenses. Then 2 more. Then 5. Within a month he had assembled this weird crew of scholarship students and struggling kids, all doing legitimate maintenance work, all getting paid fair wages. The dining hall started changing too. Zorik had a conversation with the cafeteria manager, a gruff Terran woman named Hollis, who had apparently served in the same war. Suddenly leftover meal portions could be claimed by students with work-study documentation, no questions asked, no shame involved, just practical resource management. Waste not, want not, Hollis said when I thanked her. Her expression was stern, but her eyes were kind. Besides, Chen vouched for you kids. That man does not vouch lightly. You earn it. You eat it. Simple as that. Administrator Vex, the Kelthian who ran academy operations, called me to his office after 6 weeks. I went prepared for accusations of fraud, for scholarship violations, for deportation back to Relina Prime in disgrace. Instead, he offered me a teaching assistant position in the astrophysics department. Your professors report exceptional work despite challenging circumstances, he said, his translator rendering his clicks and whistles into galactic common. We have funding for 3 new teaching assistants. You were top of the recommendation list. Pays enough to cover full meal plan, supplies, and modest stipend. Interested? I almost cried right there in his office. Yes. Absolutely yes. Good. Thanks Zorik when you see him. He brought the funding shortage to my attention. Insisted we were wasting talent by not supporting promising students properly. Vex's antennae twitched with what might have been amusement. Persistent human. Annoying but effective. That evening I found Zorik in the observation deck, my usual spot. He was doing actual maintenance this time, recalibrating a sensor array. You talked to Vex, I said. I mentioned a problem. He found a solution. That is how functional systems work. He did not look up from his work. Congratulations on the teaching position. Why? The question came out smaller than I intended. Why did you do all this? You barely know me. He finally looked at me and his expression was complicated. Sad and determined and something else I could not name yet. Because 30 years ago someone did it for me, he said quietly. After the war, when I came back broken and hungry and too proud to admit I was drowning, someone refused to look away. Someone made me take help even when I fought it. He smiled, and this time it reached his eyes. Paying it forward is not charity, Kalara. It is survival. We all need someone to refuse to let us fall. My skin flashed every color at once. Gratitude and shame and relief and a dozen emotions I had no names for. Thank you, I whispered. Thank me by eating, he said, and by helping the next student who sits alone with an empty lunchbox. 3 months into my teaching assistant position, I started bringing Zorik coffee during his late shifts. Terran coffee, strong and bitter, the way he liked it. He had helped me survive. The least I could do was help him stay caffeinated while he kept the station from exploding. We developed a routine. I would finish my evening classes, grab 2 cups from the dispensary, and find him wherever he was working. Sometimes we talked. Sometimes we just existed in comfortable silence while he fixed things, and I graded student assignments. It was nice. Easy, the kind of friendship I had not realized I needed. Tonight he was in the lower maintenance tunnels, replacing corroded pipes in the water reclamation system. Unglamorous work. Necessary work. I found him elbow deep in a wall panel, muttering curses in 3 different Earth languages. "Coffee delivery," I announced, holding up the cups. "You are a saint." He extracted himself from the panel, wiping grease on his already filthy uniform. Or whatever the Vrelian equivalent is. A blessed being. A noble soul. A student who remembers you saved her life. I handed him the cup and sat on a storage crate. "How is the pipe situation?" "Terrible." "Fantastic." "Both." He sipped the coffee, sighed with satisfaction. "Found the leak. Fixing it now. Should be done in an hour, then I can finally go home and sleep for 4 glorious hours before the next crisis." "You work too hard," says the student taking 6 classes and working 2 jobs. He returned to the panel, reaching into the wall with a sonic wrench. "We are both terrible at self-care. We should form a support group. Meet weekly. Discuss our feelings." I laughed. Over the months I had learned that Zorik used humor like armor. Deflection disguised as jokes. It was very human. Very him. We fell into comfortable silence. I reviewed astrophysics problems on my tablet. He worked on pipes. The tunnel hummed with the background noise of station systems. The heartbeat of our artificial world. Then Zorik stopped moving. Just froze. Wrench in hand. Completely still. "Zorik?" I looked up. "Did you find another problem?" He did not answer. His shoulders had gone rigid. His breathing changed. Short. Sharp. Wrong. "Zorik?" I stood up. Moved closer. "What is it? Are you injured? Should I call medical?" "The water." His voice came out strangled. "The smell. The recycled water. It smells like Mars. Like the wastes. Like Torres." My skin flashed yellow with confusion and alarm. "I do not understand. Who is Torres? You mentioned him before." "Torres died." The words came out flat. Empty. Zorik set down the wrench very carefully. Like his hands were not quite working right. I lied. "Back in the observation deck. When I told you we all survived. That was a lie." He slid down the wall, sat on the tunnel floor among the tools and spare parts. A human breaking down in slow motion. I knelt beside him, all 4 arms uncertain. Vrelians did not do physical comfort the way humans did. We relied on skin color communication, on shared emotional wavelengths. But Zorik needed something different. Something I did not know how to give. "Tell me," I said quietly. "Please." Day 37. 2 days before extraction. His eyes were distant, seeing something I could not. Torres was the youngest. 19. Babyface. Always smiling even when we were starving. He got sick. The recycled water. Something in the filtration failed. We did not know until he started vomiting blood. His hands were shaking. I reached out with my primary arms, gripped his shoulders. Held. We tried everything. Emergency medical supplies were gone. We gave him our water rations. Kept him cool. Kept him talking. He was scared. So scared. Kept asking if his mother would be proud of him. If he had done enough. Zorik's voice cracked. He died in my arms. Smiling, apologizing for being weak. And I told him he was brave. Told him he mattered. Told him his mother would be so proud. Tears were streaming down his face now. Humans cried so easily, so openly. It had seemed weak when I first arrived. Now, watching Zorik break apart over a memory 3 decades old, I understood it was the opposite. It took tremendous strength to feel this much. "When I saw you," he continued, "sitting there with your empty lunchbox, your skin fighting to stay neutral, your pride killing you slowly. All I could see was Torres. Another kid too proud to ask for help. Another life I might lose because I did not do enough, say enough, push hard enough. You saved me," I whispered. My skin had gone deep blue. Empathy. Shared pain. "Zorik, you saved me. I am here. I am alive. Because you refused to look away. But what about the next Torres? The next Kelara?" His eyes finally focused on me. Red. Raw. Human. How many kids are sitting alone right now, starving, dying, too proud to say the words? How many did I miss while I was fixing pipes and checking air filters? And suddenly I understood. The weight he carried. The reason he worked too hard. Slept too little. Noticed everything. He was trying to save everyone because he could not save one boy in a Martian desert 30 years ago. I did something I had never done before. I pulled him close, wrapped all 4 arms around his shaking frame, held him the way he had held Torres, the way someone had probably held him when he came home broken from war. You cannot save everyone, I said into his shoulder, but you saved me, and I will help you save the next one, and the one after that. You do not have to carry this alone anymore. Zorik, that is what you taught me. That is what I am teaching you now. He cried harder, sobbed, like something inside him had finally broken open, and I held him through it. This human veteran with his ancient pain and his relentless compassion, and I realized that saving someone goes both ways. He had given me food. I was giving him permission to grieve. We were both finally learning how to be saved. 8 months later, I sat in the dining hall at my usual spot by the observation window. My lunchbox was open in front of me. It was full. Not just full, overflowing actually. I had packed too much again, a habit I could not seem to break. 3 different protein sources, 2 grain varieties, vegetables in colors that would have seemed impossible back when I was starving. My mother would laugh if she could see me now. Her daughter, the girl who rationed every bite, now packing lunches like she was preparing for a siege. Across from me sat Tenna, my little sister, not so little anymore. 13 standard years old, tall for her age, her skin flashing excited yellow-green as she talked about the station, the academy, the scholarship she had just been awarded. A full scholarship. The real kind, the kind that covered everything. Administrator Vex had established the Chen Fund 6 months ago. Named it after Zorik, despite his protests. Full support for students from low-income systems. Meal plans, supplies, stipends, everything the original scholarship should have included, funded by a combination of station resources, corporate donations, and money that Zorik somehow extracted from guilty bureaucrats who had let the system fail for years. And you actually know him? Tenna was saying, her secondary arms gesturing wildly. The Zorik Chen, the human who changed everything. I know him. I smiled and pushed half my lunch toward her. Eat. You need fuel for afternoon classes. I have my own lunch. But she took it anyway. Grinning. Stop mothering me. Never. Zorik walked past our table, heading toward the environmental controls with his toolkit. He had cut back his hours, started taking days off. Started seeing the station therapist, a kind Paxian who specialized in combat trauma. The shadows under his eyes had lightened. His smiles reached deeper. He caught my eye and nodded. I flashed my skin pale blue. Gratitude. Affection. Everything words could not quite capture. Later that evening I found him in the observation deck. Our spot. He was not working for once, just sitting and watching the stars drift past. Permission to join you? I asked. Always. I sat beside him. We had done this dozens of times now. Hundreds. Just existing together in comfortable silence. But tonight felt different. Significant somehow. Tenna is settling in well, I said. She loves her roommate. Already complaining about homework. Completely normal student problems. Good problems to have. Zorik smiled. And your family? How are they? Thriving. My father took early retirement. Bought a small crystal farm. My mother works part-time now. Rico is excelling in school. I paused. They ask about you constantly. Want to know when the famous human is going to visit Velena Prime. Famous. He laughed. I fix pipes and argue with administrators. You fix broken systems. There is a difference. We watched the stars. A transport ship glided past, heading toward the inner colonies. Somewhere on board, maybe there was another scared student with an empty lunchbox. Another Torres. Another person too proud to ask for help. But maybe now, there were also more people willing to notice. More people who refused to look away. I have been thinking, Zorik said quietly, about what you said, in the tunnels, about not carrying things alone. And you were right. He turned to look at me. Thank you, for that night, for not letting me drown in my own guilt. Thank you for teaching me that accepting help is not weakness. My skin shifted through a rainbow of colors. Joy. Gratitude. Hope. We saved each other, Zorik. That is how it works. Yeah, he nodded. Yeah, I think it is. Look, I still do not completely understand humans. They are complicated and contradictory and they feel everything so intensely it should probably kill them. But I understand this much now. They notice things. They carry pain that would break most species. And sometimes when they decide someone matters, they will move entire systems to keep that person safe. Zorik saw a girl with an empty lunchbox and refused to look away. That single act of stubborn human compassion changed everything. Changed me. Changed my family. Changed an entire station's approach to student welfare. Humans are exhausting, persistent, emotionally overwhelming, and sometimes they are exactly what the universe needs. I looked down at my lunchbox. Tomorrow, I would pack it full again. And maybe I would pack an extra one too. For the next student sitting alone. For the next person who needed someone to notice. Because that is what Zorik taught me. We survive together. We save each other. And sometimes, the smallest act of kindness can feed more than just hunger. It can feed hope.